The Spin-off Podcast Network.
This is Kiwi is back for a brand new season with more inspiring kōrero from special guests including rugby player, father and role model TJ Perenara.
My family bring me joy. Rugby brings me joy too, but it's not the same joy as my family brings me.
And global dancer and choreographer Kirsten Dodgen.
For some reason, people think I'm very intimidating.
Listen to the new season of This is Kiwi, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in collaboration with KiwiBank. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you find it hard staying optimistic with all the financial news in the media? I'm Bernard Hickey, and on my podcast, When the Facts Change, I'm here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of economics in Aotearoa. So join the conversation every Friday on When the Facts Change, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in partnership with KiwiBank.
NAIR is public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.
Nau mai haere mai whakatau mai rā, he kōnei purangi tēnei pāna ki te ao Māori me te ao huri huri. I'm Leonie Hayden. This is a podcast about being Māori in the modern world. When I'm happy, I listen to music. When I'm sad, I listen to music. When I'm real angry, I listen to music. Music has carried us all through a pandemic, but our kaiwaiata are getting screwed. Welcome to NAIR. Our musicians and kaiwaiata have had a shit house 2 years. There's no two ways about it. In the first lockdown, stimulus pūtea flowed like manna from the heavens from CNZ. It's kind of all been downhill since then. Last year, the well dried up. We decided that as it's the end of summer, a time when summer gigs and tours would be wrapping up, we wanted to check in with some of our muso mates to see how they're doing and what has been done to support them. A lot of musicians make the bulk of their annual income over the summer. Those are the paying the bills, paying the mortgage months. The rest of the year is usually spent figuring out how to pay for everything else. Nearly every, not all, but most big tours and festivals were cancelled this summer. Some managed to make it in that sweet spot when it looked like we'd dealt to Delta, but the Omi wave hadn't quite hit yet. And then everything from Lantern Festival, Auckland Art Festival, Rhythm and Vines, WOMAD, Pacifica to Homegrown was cancelled. In some cases, for the third year in a row. Now that lockdowns are a thing of the past, there is far less support for the arts, although it could be argued that the industry is actually suffering as much, if not more, now. Live venues are struggling, performers are struggling. Some stimulus has been made available again recently, but there are those further along the supply chain in live events, lighting, catering, equipment hire, who aren't eligible for any of it. And factor in, if you're a Māori musician, you already earn less than your peers and have less commercial radio play. Today's manuhiri have carved a living from what they love and what they're incredibly talented at. And it would be a frickin' shame if either of them had to go and get a real job. We need them to keep inspiring us, ne? So coming up, they're going to let us know how it's going and what they need from us. Hei kua nei. Hoki mai anō. I am back with my co-hosts, the diva Meriana and superstar DJ Te Kuru Hughes.
Kia ora.
Oh, kia ora.
Kia kōrua.
I like that. I'll take that.
I like our new titles.
I know. I was like, it's music themed. We are the stars of this show. Kei te pihia kōrua.
Pai, good. Haven't caught COVID yet. First episode in studio, so tū whānau.
Aye, it is a momentous occasion. It is actually the first episode since NAIR started where two co-hosts have been in the same room together.
Yeah, you wouldn't know from the outside.
You wouldn't know.
So one day, Meriana, you'll have to join us and we can all do it together.
I know, I'm feeling moki over here.
We're inching closer and closer to that. Today we're talking about the musics, the Waiata. What have you guys been listening to?
I've been listening to a bit of SYML. I don't know what you mean, what it means out loud, if it's an acronym or not. But it's like real, it's like piano. He's huge, he or she, they are huge internationally. I think it's a fella. Oh. But just real like moody piano music.
Oh, yeah.
Like te karehana without the vocals.
Uh-huh.
And I love Tex's music, and it's kind of like, to me, it's it's on that level of that really artistic. I've made this, it's a whole new world for me because I don't really listen to that traditionally. I used to listen to hip hop and
I'm going to be distracted trying to figure out what that stands for the entire podcast now.
I'll look it up. But yeah, just that moody music, I've been into it lately.
Awesome.
Beautiful. If it's Ahua Teeks, then keen as I'm a sucker for his voice. Oh, have either of you heard him live?
Aye.
Tahua. Recently, I've been listening to Kōtero,
I love
which is
her.
a Wellington-based artist, Anna Scottney. She's super cool. Have you heard her track Force Field?
Yes.
Really cool. I'm a sucker for electronic music,
Aye.
and I love her voice. It's what she can do with her voice is just stunning.
Tēnā rereke, eh? Because like no one sounds like her, but she is still sort of like rapping taha Māori real hard.
Yeah,
but in this
absolutely.
futuristic way.
You know, I love just electronic music in general.
Yeah.
That really cool sort of new sound, but with Ahua Māori, kaupapa Māori at the core of it, at the heart.
She's bomb. She's a bomb actress as well. She's got heaps of cool stuff coming up. Like a Netflix series with Melissa McCarthy.
Wow.
She's going to be real famous.
We have to get her on.
Yeah.
Hey.
The other music I've been listening to, I'll put a quick plug in, is Lucky Lance, his album that he dropped this year.
Why?
From up north,
Oh, yeah.
from the naughty north, and just hip hop, Team Dynamite, the bro. And
Oh,
just
yeah.
just cool, jazzy, contemporary, Aotearoa
Yeah.
rap.
Lucky Lance, cool.
Yeah.
To check him out.
Check it
Man,
out,
I haven't
whānau.
heard that.
Oh,
What about you, Leonie? What's your tino waiata o te wānau?
So my partner and I, in the sort of the avoiding people, isolation and sort of COVID times, end up listening to the like creepiest shit. Like the Twin Peaks soundtrack has been on a loop in our whare for, it feels like a year now. And then we still get excited when one or the other puts it on. It's like, oh yeah. Or there is this amazing Ethiopian pianist that we listen to a lot. She's a blind nun. I sound like one of those people that's like deliberately trying to listen to the most obscure music ever. It's not true. I just like her jams. And I think it's like the same vibe as Te Kuru. I like moody and instrumental in times when it's just like you're just trying to float along, get through. We do, so I'm studying, as most of our listeners will know because I talk about it all the time, I'm studying full-time and the only music we're allowed in class is kaiwaiata Waiata Māori. And that has been opening up heaps of cool stuff as well. I've been listening to a lot of Te Kahu, a.k.a. Thea, but Te Kahu is her, she writes beautiful himene and more sort of traditional waiata, beautiful odes to her whānau and her kuia, and I'm really loving that.
I really like the direction that, Te Kahu is taking her music. Because under Thea, she's real poppy, and then the Te Kahu gives you that real Māori vibes.
Right. And it's also recorded in a way like maybe she used sort of like super old recording equipment, or it sounds like it was recorded back in the day as well, which is reminiscent to me of like some of those like the Mani Poto voices, those old records like that with just like, our wahine Māori singing lovely songs and harmonies. And
Sounds authentic.
I
met her, we worked together at Song Hubs, the inaugural Te Reo Māori
cool.
Song Hubs, which we just had an online Zooey for last week, actually, which Anna was a part of because our Song Hubs was cancelled like many other things. So, it was orchestrated by Bikarunga and Hinewehi, Dame Hinewehi Mohi with their Sir Timoti Kāretu. But it was just really sad, but it was cool at the same time. But I was just gutted because we've all been looking forward to it hard out, make some Māori music with other artists around the motu, but... Oh, wow.
So Te Kuru has just given you a little bit of a clue there, listeners, about who one of our manuhiri is I tēnei rā. We're going to let them join in on this convo and we're going to hear from them what they've been up to, what they need in terms of support, how they've been surviving these last couple of years. We'll be back right in a minute with those two. Hoki mai anō, we're joined by our manuhiri for this episode, two epic wahine Māori, two epic musicians. First up we have Te Kahureremoa Taumata, he uri anō Ngāti Kahununu me Ngāti Tūwharetoa. Te Kahureremoa is a writer, a singer, a composer, a storyteller, a taonga puoro practitioner, a visual artist, te me, based in Whanganui-a-Tara. She's also part of the amazing storytelling duo Timo Timo with Carly Philip Barbara, who we love. Nau mai hoa, welcome to the podcast.
Kia ora, tēnā tātou.
Ai, kia ora, nau mai. And our second guest is Anna the Coddington, no Ngāti Tūwharetoa me te arawa. Anna is a musician, a composer, a singer-songwriter who, as well as being a lauded solo artist, has also featured in every great group project you've ever heard, such as Fly My Pretties. Anna's an amazing māngai and advocate for women in music and wahine Māori in music. Kia ora, Anna.
Kia ora, hoa. Tēnā tātou.
Ai, kia ora. We wanted to check in with you guys. We need to get a little bit of a check-in with our mates about what's going on for you as musicians at the moment. Te Kahureremoa, are you performing live?
Yes, I have been. A couple of weeks ago, I had a single release show for my first debut single.
Woo, woo.
Thank you. Yeah, and it was hectic. Like, I think I felt all the effects of COVID and like what that's meant for us as artists, like the day of the show, as people started isolating. We weren't sure how many people would actually show up, so it got a bit freaky there for a second. Just because we had worked so hard to put together this show, it was such a great opportunity for us. The Fringe Festival hosted us, but the way that they handled all of this, trying to do Fringe Festival and COVID, was really mean. They looked after us artists hard out. Awesome. And like did things like let us keep the money that we made from the tickets, so we didn't have to pay Fringe anything for hosting the gig for us. And then we still got dope things like there was someone there to film, lighting, all the sound people, and that was all just hosted by Fringe, and then we got to keep all the money that we made from ticket sales, which was mean.
Cool.
And it was an amazing show because I was there.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And you performed your heart out. It was so cool. And it was awesome. In a way, I mean, I love intimate gigs.
Yeah.
And so I think there's maybe like 40 people, eh?
Yeah.
So it was small, but it was, I don't know, it just makes it all the more special.
I tell you what, it's weird to perform to people wearing masks because you don't get I really rely heavily on being able to see people's faces. And so it was odd at times, muffled laughs, like the laughs didn't sound as loud to me on the stage. But thank you for coming, Ehua. That was mean to see you.
It's such a rarity, and like when you get the opportunity to go to a live gig now, you just cherish it so much more.
Yeah.
He rongoa.
You know, you forget how beautiful it is to experience music a Waitua.
Yes, and we went handi for that kaupapa, like that was the thing that kind of just kept us all going. We only had a couple of rehearsals in the beginning, but mainly it was just knowing that we had to put some good frickin' vibes back out into our community because it's been feeling quite hectic. So we took that really seriously, that responsibility.
And even having, Meriana saying it's intimate, I'm like, I haven't been to a gig in ages. I had a few tickets that have been cancelled, I'm sure, like everyone else. As a consumer of music, a high consumer, and you're just getting used to it now. Like, this concert's probably not going to go ahead, but I'll get them anyway. Yeah. But intimate gigs, I mean, that's where it's at for me, and just that you were able to do that and launch your Waiata, that's awesome.
That's awesome. They don't really pay the bills though, intimate gigs, do they?
Oh, no, not really. They're a community service that us artists do. Like, that's how I kind of, definitely as an artist with a few different hustles, I've seen that our people kind of like love these spaces, these kōrero pūrākau, Waiata spaces so much that it feels at this end more like this cultural responsibility and this community service that we're out there doing.
We appreciate it.
Aye. And how many gigs do you reckon in a usual year you would have done by now, between like, say, November last year and now? How many gigs would you have done?
Oh, I mean, I'm not even like the typical kind of festival act. Like my music's not really party music, so I'm not someone who gets booked for like every festival like, some of my friends might. But I still would usually over summer do at least 10 gigs, maybe 20 gigs, something like that, just depending on what I've been up to the year before, and how interested people are in hearing my music. But yeah, as it stands, I did 2 gigs in December when we went to the orange setting of the traffic light framework, and everything else has been cancelled. I had a gig from October at Te Tairawhiti Arts Festival, which got postponed to February and then got cancelled. And yeah, and I think it's slightly different up here in Auckland as well, because the COVID's been so hard out that I just feel like even to do an intimate gig in this environment would just be too risky financially, but also, you know, the responsibility of bringing people together in this environment is, it's just not really a good buzz. It's hard to feel positive about it, about the idea of getting 100 people into the room, even though we're allowed to. It's hard to feel great about doing it, and it's hard to feel like it's something people actually want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did, in the orange setting before the Omicron outbreak, I did a very small gig at the Tuning Fork, very intimate, and loved it. Like it was like nourishing for my wairua at that point after such a long period of, not doing a lot of live performance. And then I did a fundraiser gig for To The Front, which used to be called Girls Rock Camp. And that was me. There were heaps of other really cool artists. And, it wasn't a pūtea thing. Like, obviously it was a fundraiser, but it was a really good time, and I wish I could do it again. But yeah, everything else canned. Yeah.
Oh, where?
Yeah, and plus I've got 2 small children, so and my partner's, he's in music as well. He's a music producer and DJ, and he's the music director for a show called Symphony, which is quite a big kaupapa with lots of people involved, and they do it in Australia as well. And so he just took that on during this whole COVID time, and it's been full on. So he's been working full time on that, and we're grateful that he's had the mahi, to be honest. But it has meant that I've taken the role of parenting while he's been doing that. And I've had bits and pieces here and there of not live performance mahi, but I've done a lot of parenting. My bro's done a lot of parenting over the last 2 years.
Head High soundtrack?
Yes, I did. I did Head High, and so that was
a composer.
Yes, yeah, she makes music for the telly. That's what I was doing in the studio today. Actually, I was working on another TV show, but so I'm just glad I diversified on purpose in the last kind of few years, even before COVID was coming. But Lord, am I grateful now?
Yeah,
sounds like you both. I mean, Te Kahureremoa, you said that as well, how you worded it, but it's like a multifaceted
hustler. A hustler.
Yeah.
Hustler. I'm glad you came in with that when I said it. But I was just going back to what and either of you can elaborate on this, but I'm still grappling with why can't we just have gigs outside and people can sit 5 meters apart?
Don't ask me.
Yeah, don't ask me. I'm not an event producer. That's an event producer brain.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and like epidemiologist brain, I guess, from the perspective of
I forgot about COVID for a second.
Whether or not it's safe, but hopefully soon, but even still, someone's got to be willing to take the risk that people will buy the tickets and enough. Like if you talk about outside gigs, I mean, the cost of that is massive. You need to sell a lot of tickets to set a stage up, get a PA in, get all the fencing, and make sure the toilets are there, and it's huge risk. So yeah.
When we were all stuck inside, when we were all noho kāinga, and a lot of us who rely on not being at home to make a living, did you find that time creatively productive, or was it just too distracting being in a pandemic? Was it the opposite of that? Because I've talked to some creatives who've gone one way or the other.
Did they have kids?
Yeah, well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's a line in one of your songs.
No, it's hard to practice music while your kids are fighting in the kitchen. I based the whole song of trying to rehearse with my kids, trying to do the dishes and fighting, and it was just driving me insane.
Yeah, I wrote a whole album about how parenting is just kind of like all-consuming and very hard, and it's hard. The album was kind of about how difficult it is to switch between parent brain and creative brain, right? Like being able to, you need to be able to focus, but when you've got kids, they need your attention when they need it. You can't just go, just a minute, I'm just finishing my song, because they're only little and, you got to wipe their ass or whatever.
Yeah.
Not anymore. My kids are
Metaphorically.
that now, but, yeah.
Metaphorically.
A good friend of mine, Numa Mackenzie, who's an artist and a learned brother, and he's an art. He put the idea to me that the music industry isn't fast enough. And again, this might be from the organizer's side. It takes 6 months to put on a big gig or something like that. He was saying, we get an announcement from the government, but it just takes too long to go through the whole process of let's get a gig together, let's sell 100 tickets. But if we need to be quicker, like 2 weeks, like ready to go. And then summer, he said, that all those big concerts they got, a lot of the concerts over summer could have happened earlier, and I've just been sort of ruminating on that, thinking about that. And if you guys have any whakaaro or wero to our audiences, like let's kick it up a gear, whānau. Let's help our music industry out. Yeah,
well, definitely. I would say that that would be the main barrier to doing it quickly. Is that in New Zealand's like notorious for just not buying tickets, because we have a small population and hardly anything sells out. It's like people can be relaxed about getting their tickets, but it does make it very stressful when you're taking the financial risk on putting on an event to, like you don't want to go, okay, I'm doing this gig in 2 weeks, because, the people are just not used to that thing of like getting tickets straight away. And it's also hard to cut through sometimes and just get people to know about it, right? Like,
so it's not just me then, other people are most people are last minute
most
ticket
people
buyers.
Yeah.
True. No, I'm a shocker, eh? So, this is happening this weekend. There's 5 tickets. That's me.
Yeah. People will do that for festivals and like international acts. But not for our local
like Elton
artists.
John. Elton John 2023, I think he's been advertised.
Yeah, totally.
So I was talking in my intro about how in the very first lockdown it was like the CNZ tap turned on and like everyone got a bucket full of money to help them through, I guess, what they thought at the time was only going to last a year or so. And from what I can tell, sort of last year with the lockdown systems going away and traffic light coming along, the well dried up near, the Pūtea dried up somewhat, except maybe there's a little bit still floating around. What does the government support look like for yous right now?
I've been involved, I think, in... I haven't gotten any, applied for anything, but I think how the government money has kind of come back is that a lot of gigs that were supposed to go ahead, the artists are still getting paid for those gigs that didn't happen. But there's only been a couple, not every single one that I've been involved in has meant that we get to keep the money that we were promised for our show that we would do.
Like an insurance rather than a stimulus.
So that's that kind of trickle-down thing, right? Like the promoters get paid out the money and then they pay out whoever they were contracting. But see, I've been told that I'm going to get paid for some of my cancelled gigs, but I ain't seen a dollar yet. With the exception of Tairāwhiti Arts Festival.
Of course.
Tama Waipara was straight in there like, no, we'll get you something, Or at least he communicated about it. Whereas I think people are still looking into that and what it can cover and what it can't. And in addition to that, the Ministry for Culture and Heritage have announced a $5,000 payout for people across all arts sectors, which is great. And everyone should apply for that if you haven't already, artists of all types. And I'm not sure what the criteria are, but I think it's fairly straightforward to apply for that. And that's really great, but it's still like, like I say, I'm not a top tier artist. I'm not like one of the biggest artists, but even for me, $5,000 would cover 1 or 2 festival gigs, and most people have lost at least 10 kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's hard for artists because so many artists are just not that way inclined. You know, we just don't think about money at the best times anyway. So they're not out there like scouring the government websites going, what can I apply for? Like, where's the pūtea, you know, like where's the form for me to fill out? Lots of people just didn't hear about it because they're not like on the same vibration as the IRD, or they just, you know, their mates, they're not in
Would
those...
you want to be on that vibration?
Exactly. They're not in those circles. And so they didn't apply or whatever in time. And then the other weird thing about it is there's all these business grants, like small business grants, right? So if you're set up as a small business, as an artist, which I am, but not all of my friends are, then there's this other pūtea you can apply for as well. If you meet the criteria for that. And that is quite a big disparity. Like the amounts you can apply for as a small business are much more than just one payment of $5,000, you know. So, yeah, I think it's quite hard to navigate.
This is good. I'm hearing a lot and potential of, you know, how we can help artists. And someone who went through setting up business, I know how that was difficult for me. And I'm kind of, you know, in media, it would be easier for me than for a lot of people, I can imagine. So I found it really difficult. So setting up something to help artists go through that so that they, you know, we can make it more sustainable.
100%.
Because like you guys have said, it's cultural for us getting together, you know, and especially for Māori, Waiata is a cultural thing, and now we can't get together. We're not doing our Waiata at the marae. And it's not, the process of sharing and connecting our tinana, our wairua, is just not happening. So we've got to find a way through it.
See, now I feel bad that I didn't like offer to fill out applications and stuff for people over lockdown, because I think I'm kind of okay at them, even though they make no sense, and filling in applications is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I've got one musician friend who would definitely qualify for any type of support. Like, I know she's lost loads of gigs, but she's just like, I have an actual anxiety around filling out forms, and I just like don't know how to, you know, I just don't know if I can do it kind of thing. Like, just people are different, right?
And then kids and stuff, life.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's such a good thing to offer to your artist mates that aren't good at form filling out, that don't operate on the same vibes as IRD. Like, if you are the onto it friend that knows how to do that stuff, it goes so far.
Yeah.
E te whānau.
Yeah. I've been trying to do that because my partner's a bit more that way minded than I am. So he's, you know, reminded me, and then I've tried to remind all my mates as well, you know, send the links, apply for this if you can.
Oh, yeah, you're good like
and
that.
And some of them just like, I just haven't got round to it, still open. And then I'm texting them the next day, have you applied for the thing? It's free money.
You're so good,
Do we have a Ropu Waiata? That's sort of like a Waiata Māori union, a Māori artist union, that kind of, do we need one?
Oh, he pātai pai tēnā.
There's one for managers.
There's one for managers. There's a Facebook group. There's like he ropu ki runga i te pukamata. But yeah, Dame Henua has set that up on Facebook.
I've seen
so
that
that's
page,
there for any Māori musicians that want to go and join it. And she posts a lot of good information there. But yeah, a collective.
My mate who is a program director at Radioactive seems to think there isn't any sort of, or anything similar to like a union. And part of the raru being that musicians aren't employed, you know, they're not actually employed by organisations. They're contractors or, you know, business owners if you've got your own business set up. It seems like a real issue, you know, for musicians not having any sort of collective rights or...
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. And I know there are some people looking into establishing some kind of union, and I think they're trying to tether it to an existing union that works with other industries or something like that.
That is how most unions work now. It's sort of like one organisation that looks after a few different fields.
Like a higher level of your mate filling in the forms for you kind of thing, you know, like the same kind of concept. But,
Oh, that's a good idea. Hey, we are going to just throw to a little break. And then after the break, we're going to talk about posy things. We're going to talk about the future. See you soon.
Kia ora, I'm Alex Casey, Senior Writer at The Spin-Off. We wouldn't exist without the ongoing support of our generous members. If you're able to, you can make a donation at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Kia ora, I'm Duncan Grieve, founder of The Spinoff. You can help us keep all of The Spinoff's award-winning journalism free for everybody by becoming a member today at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Hoki mai anō, we're with Te Kahureremoa Taumata and Anna Coddington. We're catching up with them about what's going on in the music industry right now for our kaiwaiata Māori. It's been a tough time, ne? But we're also interested in what is getting you excited. What's coming up for you that makes you feel like it's not all doom and gloom. This pandemic is going to be over one day, and you're looking forward to what?
A career change.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to my album coming out this year.
Yeah, girl.
Yes.
In May. I've been working really hard on it. Started work for it last year and it's finished. So it's going to come out in May.
Woohoo!
And that's the thing that I'm excited for the most this year.
Yes. I'm excited for it.
Just to see what will happen.
Hea te ingoa te album?
It's called Acts of Service.
Yo.
Yeah.
Is that your love language?
It probably is. Nah, mine's quality time, if we're being honest.
It does feel like making music at the moment is an act of service. It's like, it's hard to make a job of it when you can't do gigs.
Yeah. It was very specifically chosen too because we are an independent musician. There's absolutely no money behind this. So everyone that came in to work on it, including my producer, Neil McLeod, just did it for aroha. And it felt like a real, in the course of like the process creating this album, felt like a real act of service. A lot of the waiata on there are just for our people. Things like waiata that you can sing to your daughter when she gets her waifero for the first time. Songs for the water. I feel like protests about the water are going to ramp up and we need some jams to like sing. That was the idea behind why we named it Acts of Service. As we were writing and as I was being like testing out ideas, most of them came back to being like, I want this song because I want my people to have this. Yeah.
Are there ways that either of you, for us as consumers, so that it isn't just an act of service, how can we best support, should we purchase your album on Bandcamp? Do you have some T-shirts? What are some of the ways that you guys can recommend we can support your mahi with pūtea? So it's not just for service because, we want you to get paid too.
Yeah, I don't think, because we're doing quite a mainstream release. So it's going to be on Spotify, because there's the other thing is I could have put it up on Bandcamp and kept some money for us, but my auntie does not know what that is. She has Spotify on her phone. So I gave it to Jeffrey Bezos. Just help. I think we should just be pumping each other's, like pumping that music out, because I think that's the best way for somebody like me. I would just want people to hear it. Like that's my main. Once it's out, share it.
You want it on those big speakers at like Speedway.
Exactly.
Like when people are doing their spin class at the Les Mills.
Give it to Orongonu will be great at spin class. Give the songs to Taika Waititi, whatever.
Yeah. Get in some big films.
Yeah.
Kei te aha, Enna, what are you working on?
Well, kei te mahi au I taua TV show, the one that I talked about before. I've kind of just starting on that. They just finished shooting it and it's one of my best friends, A.D. Walker's directing it. So I am excited about that. It's so it's going to be pretty fun working with her. But yeah, I've had a funny time. Like, Lockie D was not a super creative time for me. I've got to be honest. Like, I didn't, and I just also, it's been such a mental journey as well. Mentally challenging. I just haven't really felt like I've had much to say or much to offer in the midst of such hectic times, I guess. And it just feels pretty glib to be banging on about I've written the song and it's just kind of about my feelings or whatever, you know. If there's, I just haven't really been in the mood for that kind of thing. So I've got that TV show. I think I want to make some more music, but like you say, in terms of it being mahi, like a job, everyone's different, but my view is kind of like you make the album, it costs heaps to do if you're, paying people. So you wear that and you see it through, and then you do all the promotional stuff, which is kind of like, doesn't feel great. But then you get to do your gigs, and that's your kind of the part of the process where you potentially make some money back or whatever. Streaming's a thing for some people. I'm not a huge streaming artist. Like, I don't get the number of streams where it's a tangible amount of income, really. You need to be up in the millions for that. I think.
Can you give us an idea of exactly like what kind of? I mean, you don't have to tell us how much you've earned from streaming, but I literally have no idea what like 20,000 streams gets you. Is that like
nothing?
15 cents? Is that nothing?
It's not like you might be able to buy a coffee, maybe, but maybe not. You know,
that's bleak.
Yeah, it's bleak. It's pretty negligible. So I agree. Like, sharing is one of the best ways to support because it's such a weird. I feel like now it's like if you can create the illusion of value around your mahi, irrespective of its inherent value, then that's how you can start attaching it to things that have monetary value.
Right.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's when people will go, oh, everyone's sharing this artist, maybe we should get her along to this festival and pay her.
She's on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, I keep seeing this name. I keep seeing this song, this face. Yeah. Like, that's sort of one way where an artist can get enough recognition to get on board with something that will actually pay money. But I just think it's also for artists, I think it's just quite yuck to think in those terms. You just try to do what you're doing, and then hopefully it pays off somewhere down the track.
Right.
But
Tautoko.
Yeah, but that's why I deliberately, as someone with two young kids, my kids are 5 and 8 now, but quite a few years ago, even before COVID, I realised that touring relentlessly is not for me. It's not something I want to do. It's not something I can do, really, but also it took that experience to realise I genuinely don't want it. I don't want to be away from home all the time, you know. So I've deliberately tried to make more of my mahi studio focused, like the TV stuff. I'm producing for another artist. That's something I'm excited about. Her name's Davida, and she doesn't have much out in the way of recordings, but if you find her Instagram page, she's got so many mean songs and song ideas. So we're going to have a jam together and do some recordings. And I also do some voiceover work. Ooh. So that's been a good little thing to have ticking over as a side hustle as well. Yeah. But what am I excited about? I guess spending time in the studio, because I haven't been able to do that while the kids haven't been at school, and that's what I love to do, to just noodle around in my stewed and
noodle in the stewed.
But yeah, I was kind of joking before when I said I was excited about a career change, but also not. You know, like I have been thinking, like, what else is out there? Because if we can't tour, it's very difficult to make a living, I think, for an artist of my level. I don't feel like, I mean, you never know, but I don't feel like I'm about to have a song get tens of millions of Spotify streams and suddenly actually pay some money. So, yeah, but that is exciting to me, the idea of potentially doing something else as well.
So you're going to make a mean producer, bro.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Hard out. All right, last question. We did this at the very beginning of this episode, but I would like each of you to share with us a kaiwaiata Māori who you're, like someone new that you've just discovered, or just someone that you love.
Kaiwaiata Māori. Oh, yeah, Asia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
she's
Ma, M-A, and there's a portai on the A.
Mean.
Yeah, she's mean. She was awesome live.
Yeah, she's mean as. I feel like most of the kaiwaiata Māori are all wahine that I listen to.
Get the bite.
Same. We have a bit of a wahine bias on this show anyway, eh, Leonie? Te kuru's our token eater.
No, it's te kuru. Well, mine would be te Kahureremoa.
Hey!
Hey, thanks for sharing.
Oh, yeah, hey.
Right.
But yeah, there are loads. Ngā Neko? Or what's she going by now? Neko?
I think she's going Ngāneko at the moment.
Ngāneko, yeah. Davida, who I talked about before, who I'm going to do some production for.
How do you spell that, Davida?
Davida. Okay. She'll be so ashamed that I'm talking about her like this. But yeah, she just writes really cool lyrics and I love her stuff. So I'm excited to get some down on digital tape. And oh yeah, you said ones that people might not have heard of. I love Paige.
I
love Paige.
Kia ora hoa, kia ora kōrua. Thank you for coming on our pari.
Kia ora koutou.
Updating us with what's going on. That was a mixture of the struggle that is real and also the mahi goes on and can still be awesome and uplifting. And I mean that seems to me like a very real reflection of what's going on. So thank you for your honesty and your candour.
Tēnā koutou.
A big thank you to our producer, Te Aihe Butler. Thank you e hoa. You can find more episodes of Ne at Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your poddies. Read Te Kuru on thespinoff.co.nz every single week and find us on Instagram, Ne Te Ao Māori Podcast. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Hei ako anei, ka kite.
NAIR is public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air and brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network. It was hosted and researched by Leonie Hayden with Te Kuru Jews and Meriana Johnsen. NAIR was produced by Te Aihe Butler with senior production from Jane Yee and project management from Mark Kelleher.
Kia ora, this is Toby Manhire, here to urge you to tune in to Gone by Lunchtime, a podcast with me, Annabelle Lee Mather and Ben Thomas, tackling the world of New Zealand politics, from policy to polling, from scandal to psychodrama. Listen to Gone by Lunchtime, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network, wherever good pods are sold.
Kia ora e te iwi, Te Aihe Butler here, podcast manager at The Spin-off. If you enjoy listening to our podcasts, consider supporting our mahi by signing up to become a Spin-off member at thespinoff.co.nz/donate. The Spin-off Podcast Network.